Salutations, all you salacious sleazebags, and welcome to the second season of Sugar Pants Video Basement. Did you miss me? Because I sure missed you. During my time off, I went digging through the basement tapes and I stumbled across another sucky six-pack of cinematic sludge, and we're getting started with the 1989 sci-fi horny teen anti-classic, Dr. Alien. It's like if those kids who grew up watching Captain Kirk screw a bunch of hot alien chicks grew up to make movies about that exact topic. So without further ado, let's get to the sleaze docket to see what was good enough to kick off the second season. We have 0 dead bodies, 16 naked breasts, 0 cups blood, 1 puckering phallic head tentacle, 2 nudity-free bump and grind sex scenes, 2 implied sex scenes, gratuitous popped collars, gratuitous dressing montages, gratuitous all-girl aerobics, girls' locker room tompeepery, 1 halfway decent rock song, Linnea Quigley pretending to be one of the Go-Go's, and pre-credit character epiloguery. Our movie starts in an impossibly dark lab with the do-nothing principal from Hot Times at Montclair High. This movie he plays the do-nothing college professor. Think that's unfair? Well, don't, because he gets taken down in the first 2 minutes of the movie. After driving for a bit, his dashboard indicators go haywire and some jackass behind him hits him with the high beams. The professor panics and we get a pretty decent car crash. Cut to our wimpy main character Wesley narrating the movie. And get your 80s movie cliche bingo cards out now and check off asshole younger brother. Another cliche, the Happy Days phony family dynamic. Seriously, just by show of hands, how many of you grew up in a household that was anything like the Brady Bunch? Because mine was more like a cross between All in the Family and Roseanne. Here we see the loving Little John family sitting down to breakfast together, including Creepazoid cereal. Start your day the creepy way with Creepazoid cereal, part of your completely slimy breakfast. Don't worry, I'll definitely be doing that one in a future episode. Eventually. The folks are very invested in Wesley's college experience, how his classes are going, and Mom asks if he's met any nice girls yet. We get a minor glimpse into his fantasy life before a honking car prompts him to leave. Outside we meet Wesley's oversexed best friend Marvin, who's driving on the wrong side of the car for some reason that's never explained. On the way, Marvin asks if Wesley has heard about Dr. Ackerman's accident and finds some amusement in the fact that he swears he was forced off the road by a UFO. Immediately upon arrival, Wesley runs into his dream girl, Leanne, and we find out that he hasn't even introduced himself to her. And I'm glad this movie was made pre-internet, because if it was made today, Wesley would be running to the incel chat boards to whine about how women don't want nice guys before posting his manifesto explaining about how he deserves a completely subservient wife with perfect skin while ignoring his shit-crusted undies and Cheeto dust-caked fingers. What? Oh, right. We're watching a movie. Marvin gives him a lot of really great advice like, go talk to her. Unfortunately, our hero has all the grace of a newborn giraffe and trips over a very obvious couple lying in the grass. But before he can get his ass beat, Marvin loses all awesome friend points by stealing a blind man's cane to bail him out. And that's the level of humor we've got in this one, folks. And it's time for biology class, because it's a teen sex comedy in the 80s. So of course it's time for biology class. There's always biology class. In walks our new teacher, legs first, and everyone's jaws hit the floor. She introduces herself as Miss Zenobia, which is about as incognito as a vampire PE teacher named Coach Ferratu.
Jesus Christ, from now on, no more of this clever name bullshit.
What's the lesson of the day?
What can you tell me about your penis? Banging, screwing, hosing, pumping. Ejaculation. Popping your cookies, shooting your wad, blowing your load.
She reminds me of Paul Revere's ride. A little light in the belfry.
Zenobia asks for a volunteer to help her in the lab later in the day, and our Dorcas Supreme only raises his hand after she says it'll include extra credit. Outside we get another reminder of Marvin's poonhound status as he triumphantly announces it's time to go watch the girls' gym shower. Also, Wesley's inability to talk to his dream girl. Back at the lab, Wesley runs into Drax. No, not that Drax. This Drax. Zenobia's assistant and standard sci-fi creeper. The two tell Wesley they want him to be their guinea pig for a vitamin and its effects on the human system. Why, Wesley? Because a studly, muscular, athletic specimen wouldn't show the results as well. Out comes a needle full of Herbert West's reanimating agent, and Wesley changes his mind. Zenobia says if he wants to leave, he's free to do so, but she pulls the old switcheroo on him, jamming him in the ass as he walks away. A few seconds of resting derp face, and Wesley is turned into a live-action Snork. Zenobia takes off her lab coat, and the classroom goes all red light district. Unfortunately, it's all implied titillation. No skin just yet. With the deed done, Wesley's head protuberance retracts back into his skull, and he stumbles home, where everyone is enjoying some family TV time. Wesley goes up to bed and transforms into Spider-Man. No. That's the wrong movie. Like most 80s teens, he has some cheesy wet dreams starring Linnea Quigley and porn star Ginger Lynn. Next morning, we get a makeover dressing montage with popped collars. Always remember, kids, if people don't like you, change everything about yourself. But all the hip clothes in the world still won't change the fact that you drive a Ford station wagon. Fun fact, this is the exact make, model, and color your old pal Sugar Pants got for his first set of wheels, and it was a family hand-me-down. Now let me tell you exactly just how much pussy it got me in high school. Big fat 0. Ugh, seriously, I'm getting some PTSD off of this movie all of a sudden. On the way to college, Wesley stops to offer his dream girl a ride, and even though she admits to not knowing who he is, she gets in. Not a smart move, girl. The two have some boring chit-chat, what's your major, and so on, when the punk from earlier in the movie challenges him to a race. Leanne's not impressed, but Wesley goes ahead and gets all fast and furious, and we get a ridiculous dose of Hollywood magic trying to convince us a station wagon is actually going to stand a chance in a street race. I also got a comment on the random fruit stand in the middle of fucking nowhere. Who sets up a business like that? Someone who wants to sell exclusively to construction workers, drug dealers, and prostitutes. That's who. Wesley swings by to pick up Marvin in this very poorly designed race course and still ends up beating the bully to school. Leanne's not very happy and storms off to class. But that's okay, because Wesley knows how to play piano, and that's all it takes to apologize to Leanne. Wesley asks her out, and she agrees, which gives us another cliche. Happy, inappropriate dancing with Mom! And then we get our second dressing montage. Wesley picks up Leanne and asks what she'd like for dinner.
Chinese, Japanese, French, Italian.
How about American?
And apparently, American means nasty food truck parked along Makeout Ridge. Zenobia and Drax tag along to observe. Wesley admits to suddenly not feeling good as his skull thingy pops up for some action. Suddenly, Leanne is all hot to trot. And even from a distance, Zenobia is squirming in her space panties. Unfortunately, Leanne is a little overzealous and causes an injury, making the tentacle retreat in pain. Suddenly, Leanne is back in her right mind and is quite upset at what she assumes was a sexual assault. Heading over to the food truck to drown his sorrows, Wesley is met by the Dream Girls who offer him a
3-course dinner.
But we don't get to see any lunchbox action because we jump straight to Wesley arriving home. He has a dream that begins to replay all the action we missed out on, but then we're all cock-blocked by Leanne's chainsaw massacre. Take note, folks, this is probably the only time I'll ever be upset at seeing a chainsaw in a trashy movie. Next day, Wesley is talking to Marvin, trying to figure out what's going on with him.
Why are women throwing themselves at me? Except for the one that I really want.
She did throw herself at you. And hard enough to bruise your dingus, in fact. And again, Marvin's advice.
Well, to talk to her.
You know, for an 80s cliche horn dog, he sure does have his advice game down pat. During class, we get a fantasy situation showing Zenobia in another lacy outfit. Wesley sticks around to confront Zenobia, and Drax sneakily gives him another dose of the glow stick juice, and we get another implied sex scene. Meanwhile, Marvin is helping us get some major Shasta product placement, and the bully is having relationship problems of his own. His girlfriend is all upset that he keeps staring at Zenobia.
Admit it, you're dying to slip her the beef.
Hey, where's the beef?
After their fight, the girlfriend notices Wesley and his little friend and drags him into the conveniently placed janitor's closet, and we finally get another dose of skin. After leaving, the girl is no longer under the spell of the pheromones or whatever the puckering head penis does to females, and she gets her boyfriend to beat up Wesley. But whatever was in those shots also gave him superhuman fighting abilities, and he easily mops the floor with him. I'm telling you, I'm not yet unconvinced Sam Raimi didn't borrow heavily from this one to make Spider-Man. This is at least the second time the scenes have matched up a little too well. Later that night, Leanne calls up to reconcile with Wesley, who asks her out for Saturday. Wesley's brother barges in to ask him about Leanne and wonders why he's acting strangely, like listening to Guns N' Roses instead of Mozart. Another implied sex scene with Zenobia for absolutely no reason, and we catch up with Marvin, who's watching the girls' aerobics class. But it's not enough just to watch the girls sweat and jiggle. He follows them to the locker room where the skylight windows are perfectly set up for some quality peeping time. Wesley and his little friend are dragged inside, and the girls just start peeling clothes like they're allergic to cotton. The horny harem doesn't even notice him slip away, but he's caught by the gym teacher before he can make a full escape. Safe outside, Wesley gets more advice from Marvin, who gets the great idea to impress Leanne by having him join a band. And it just so happens he knows a band who needs a lead singer. So here we are introduced to Discount Tom Petty, 80s scary black guy cliche, and punk Keith Richards. Zenobia and Drax pull up out front to discuss the experiment and how a third and final injection should put a sufficient amount of fluid in Wesley, and that he's been
chosen for a greater purpose.
Ooh, all dark and mysterious. And for some reason, we're having a band dinner with the folks. Oh, look! The only black guy in the movie, and he also does sound effects. So after an awkward interaction with Mom and Dad, it's on to the hairy armpit. And I gotta point out, the prop department actually took the time and effort to make that sign out of neon. Oh look, Wesley's Dream Girls are performing at the club. Isn't that convenient?
Hello there. We're the Tangoons.
God bless you, Linnea Quigley. God bless you. And as much crap as I've been giving this movie, I hate to say how much I actually kinda like this song. I mean, the performance is ridiculously cheesy, but hey, Danzig got away with this exact act for like 30 years, so who am I to judge this movie more harshly? After the show, the Tang Poons are all over Wesley, and he doesn't do anything about it until Leanne comes backstage. She admits to him that she's an old-fashioned kind of girl, and he's just not what she's looking for, before storming off. Wesley chases after her, but runs into Zenobia in the alley, cosplaying as a baked potato just in time for an exposition dump. She says the experiment is over and that he must come with her as she returns to her home planet to study the effects of the serum. The population of her planet is dwindling because the males all suffer from erectile dysfunction. Wesley, of course, doesn't believe her until she pulls her face off to reveal the impossibly gigantic head hiding underneath all the hairspray. Wesley throws a trash bin over Zenobia and gets away. You know, you'd think a species that has mastered interplanetary travel would need something stronger than Tupperware to be taken down. Wesley makes his way back to the college to sabotage the experiment, blowing up Drax and the research notes, and stealing the last of the formula. He makes his way back to the club where the Tang Poons are doing their best impression of the Go-Go's and gets his new friends to help out. Zenobia is pissed off and starts blasting the shit out of the club. After the shooting, Wesley threatens to dump out the last of the formula, and Zenobia pleads with him to think of the future of her species. Then Wesley goes all Trekkie and says Zenobia violated the Prime Directive. She then says the formula actually didn't cause any changes to his personality, that it only caused the growth of an organ that sends out mating signals, and that nothing is permanent. Everything else that happened to him was his own doing. Marvin and the band realize the formula is why he's been irresistible to the opposite sex and charge for it, spilling it into the sink. Zenobia tears up knowing her species is doomed to extinction. But just then, Drax grows his own little friend and suggests they have a wild weekend in Las Vegas to start repopulating their planet. Wesley's parents apologize for stifling his musical talents in convincing him to major in economics. They also admit they met at a club themselves. Then Mom gets all gooey, remembering how Dad was a rocker, and
They look great in tight trousers.
Boy.
Leanne comes back to find out what she missed, and the two patch things up yet again. And we get another 80s cliche, the pre-credit epilogue where everyone has a happy ending. Except the bully. Fuck him, apparently. And that's Dr. Alien, another great example of how the 80s insisted no one will like you for who you are. You must in fact change everything about yourself to find true love. Just an all-around feel-good skin flick that the whole family can enjoy. Or maybe not. Speaking of the whole family, is it just me or did anyone else notice how Zenobia was basically a sexier, more exaggerated version of Wesley's mom?
Bradford, that is no way to talk. Wesley is an intelligent, upstanding young man who will make a fine junior vice president at your father's accounting firm someday. Now, this last chapter I'm particularly keen on. After all, if we don't know our own bodies and how they work, how can we expect to function normally on this planet?
I have a feeling Freud would have something to say about this casting choice. Billy Jane, who played our lead nerd Wesley, started acting at 8 years of age and has had fairly steady work his entire life, including the TV series of The Bad News Bears, Bloody Birthday, The Beastmaster as Young Dar, Cujo, Tales from the Darkside series, The Golden Girls, The A-Team, Silver Spoons, 21 Jump Street, and Parker Lewis Can't Lose. He's even got a few directing credits, including 4 different music videos for Buck Cherry. Judy Landers, our always fully clothed sexual being, Mrs. Zenobia, got started acting in 1976 with The Yum Yum Girls, which, regardless of how the title sounds, is not a porn movie, apparently. Other than that, she seemed to be a staple among late 70s and 80s TV guest appearances. Happy Days, The Jeffersons, Charlie's Angels, Chips, BJ and the Bear, also not a porno, regardless of the suggestive title. Madam's Place, Fantasy Island, Knight Rider, The A-Team, LA Law, Murder, She Wrote, Alf, The Love Boat, and Night Court. She would eventually team up with her sister producing and starring in the 1995 public broadcast children's series, The Hug-a-Bug Club.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, Jesus! Oh, God! Oh, Jesus! God! Oh, Mary, Mother! Jesus of Nazareth!
And of course, we can't forget our rocker gals who thankfully added some much-needed sex appeal to this one. Laura Albert has acted in a few big projects like Roadhouse, Tales from the Crypt, the series, and Dream On, but is a lot more known in the stunts department, working on Naked Gun 33 1/3, Double Dragon, Fist of the North Star, Casper, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, Hellraiser Bloodline, Escape from LA, The Lost World Jurassic Park, Starship Troopers, Tomorrow Never Dies, Halloween H2O, Jawbreaker, Idle Hands, Wild Wild West, Galaxy Quest, Scream 3, Coyote Ugly, Charlie's Angels, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, The Fast and Furious, 2002 Spider-Man, Terminator 3, The Punisher, Batman Begins, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, War of the Worlds, Mission Impossible 3, Pineapple Express, and Horrible Bosses, just to name a few of her over 160 stunt gigs. Whew. Ginger Lynn got her start in adult movies, but eventually broke into Hollywood. Some of her non-X-rated titles include Vice Academy, Buried Alive, Young Guns 2, The Devil's Rejects, 31, and I Want to Come Inside Your Mom 23. Wait. Oh, I'm being told that last one's porn. Linnea Quigley, a horror icon, has been in so many schlocky horror favorites and continues adding to her acting credits. As of this recording, she's got at least 170 to her name, including Cheech and Chong's Nice Dreams and Still Smokin', Silent Night, Deadly Night, The Return of the Living Dead, Creepazoids, Sorority Babes and the Slimeball Bowl-orama, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, Night of the Demons, and Beach Babes from Beyond, just to name a few. In fact, I should just go ahead and say it now, there is a very real chance we'll see more of Linnea's work as I continue reviewing schlock. So there you go, one heck of a start to Season 2 of the show. What can I possibly present next? It's like a horror-themed gachapon machine. You never know what's gonna be next, but you just can't stop plunking tokens into that machine. So until I greet you again for some more subpar substance from the substructure, aka the basement, this is your old pal Sugar Pants. See you in your dreams!
He's such a good boy.
Such a douchebag.